I can't take it anymore. I've complained about tipping recently. I'm going to complain about tipping again. I don't know how much to tip. I don't know who to tip. I don't know when to tip. I don't know why to tip. I mean, at restaurants, they have little rules at the bottom with asterisks, 3% for health, 10% service charge, but this is a service charge, but it's not a tip, whatever. We got people out there who are asking for tips who never asked for tips before. You know, there's a tip jar at 7-Eleven. My goodness. You're giving me a Slurpee. I have to expect the U.S. Postal Service. You go into the post office, there'll be a tip jar. Those postal workers deserve tips. I will say that. Goodness, I gotta admit, I was anti-tipping as a kid. I had to go to Sunday church services a few times, and then midway through the service, they had that collection plate coming by, and it reached me, and I go, "What the heck? I didn't even like the pastor's sermon today, and now you want me to tip?" And then as an adult, a few weeks ago, I went to a Sunday church service, and I was leaving the service after an hour and a half. It was kind of boring. There were two guys. They were like bouncers you'd see in a nightclub standing in front of the door, and they wouldn't let me leave till I tipped them. You know, so I had to go to the bathroom and slip out the window. No more of the tipping. No more of the tipping. Tipping should be easy. 50%, 20% to who should get it, when they should get it. Otherwise, I am gambling mad. And welcome to yet another episode of Gambling Mad. I'm your host, Norman Chad. Gambling Mad, sponsored, as always, by Fritos. Picked fresh off of Frito trees in Central California in the afternoon, direct to your supermarket at night. And by Fresca, the remarkable Fresca. It is refreshing. It is rejuvenating. It's Fresca. Fritos and Fresca, it's a meal. Today on Gambling Mad, Shohei Ohtani again. We're on it. We're right on it. We're going to talk about the start of the UFL, the United Football League. It is the talk of the town. Which town? I'm not really sure about that. NFL is going to have a new kickoff rule this year that's going to upset a lot of people. We're going to explain it in detail. We're also going to talk about turtle races. Yes, you heard me, turtle races. There's a judge in some part of New York who was gambling a bit too much, particularly for a judge. And, of course, there will be Trump Bibles. We start with Shohei Ohtani. I stand with Shohei. You know, it would break my heart if he were not what he appears to be. Right now, folks, we have a situation in which we don't know enough. Okay? There's just too many missing pieces of the puzzle. So we don't know what is and what isn't. I'm warning you right now. I am going to reserve judgment until we get more information in. And I'm warning you right now, there's a lot of people out there that are just going to make proclamations again and again, turn them off. They don't know anything. They don't know very little. You know, they're connecting the dots, but they're missing a lot of the dots. You can't connect the dots if you're missing dots. You know, these people are looking at stuff and, you know, they're adding 2 plus 2 and they're getting 5. Okay? But 2 plus 2 is 4, not 5. It's 4. By the way, I do apologize once again. We don't have a budget for a graphics team. But when I think about it now, this graphic that I made up, I didn't even make it up. My dog Blue made it up. Took her like 30 seconds to do this, and she doesn't even have thumbs. I don't know if we need graphics people. I do know we need Shohei Ohtani to be who we think Shohei Ohtani is. Until we find out more, we should not jump to conclusions. I was fascinated when he had his press conference where he just essentially read a statement for several minutes. He had a new interpreter, Will Ireton, and you know I've never been in the interpreter career track, but it's amazing now that during the job interview, if you want to be an interpreter for someone like Shohei, one of the questions will be, how often do you bet on sports? How'd that pop into the equation? Anyway, besides the fact that I really want Shohei to be clean. He might not be. Want him to be clean. The last several years, it's just been tougher for me to watch sports in general as I've gotten older. And there are 3 athletes that have kept me in a very good mood. In order of appearance, Steph Curry in the NBA, Patrick Mahomes in the NFL, and Shohei Ohtani in MLB. And what it makes Shohei even more special is that if there's some spectacular players over the years, And, we have people that are Hall of Famers, obviously, among hitters that are among the best players in the history of baseball. But in baseball, your favorite player comes up to bat only 4 times a game. You only see him every half hour or 45 minutes doing what you came to the ballpark to do, as opposed to, say, a Steph Curry, who's the quarterback for every other play in the game, Patrick Mahomes, who's the quarterback for every play in the game, or Steph Curry, who's on the court for 30, 35 minutes out of 48 minutes doing his magic. So your best players in baseball, you don't see that often. So the bonus of Shohei is, because he's doing something no one's done in 100 years, and only one person did it, was Babe Ruth, is besides coming to bat every 30 or 45 minutes, every few games we get to see him pitch. Shohei, please be clean. I insist. Please be clean. Let's move on to the United Football League. So the USFL and the XFL merged. That's what a merger looks like. The good news is it takes one of those scourges off the charts. The bad news is we really don't need or want spring football, period. It's going to be a 10-week season. It starts this weekend. There are 8 teams. Birmingham, Houston, Memphis, Michigan, Arlington, Texas, Washington, D.C., San Antonio, St. Louis. Now, if we need spring football, apparently we need it only in Texas. That's an 8-team league with 3 of the teams in Texas. And just think about it, if they open up that border a little more, we probably could have a 4th team in Texas. So many people coming on in. That's got to give enough bodies for another team. A couple of coaches you might recognize name-wise, Wade Phillips, Bob Stoops, Mike Nolan. A couple of quarterbacks you might recognize, A.J. McCarron, also Tom Flacco. Yeah, I said Tom Flacco, brother of Joe Flacco. That's who he is. They're going to everybody earns $5,500 a week in the United Football League. Even the quarterbacks, everybody's equally paid. Quarterbacks can't like that. And the thing I like is that I once earned, in my heyday, a number of years ago, I once earned $5,500 a week. Think about that. I was actually, I earned a little more than $5,500 a week. I was out earning pro football players. I can't do anything. I can't throw a pass. I can't write a sentence without using a semicolon. I was out earning pro football players. That's kind of cool. We don't want the UFL. So we will ignore the UFL largely. And if you want to watch it, go ahead and watch it. But let me give you 5 reasons not to watch the UFL. Number 1, even if you love filet mignon, you get tired of it if you ate it every single day of the week. So you can have too much of a good thing. Spring football is too much, and it's not that good of a thing. I mean, it's not filet mignon. It's more like ground chuck. Okay, number 2. We're talking the San Antonio Brahmas against the St. Louis Blackhawks. Enough said. Number 3, I had to look up what a Brahma is. That's too much work. Number 4 reason not to watch the UFL. Check your Apple TV, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Peacock, and Netflix viewing schedules. Where do you find time for spring football? And number 5, and I can't emphasize this enough, I cannot listen to another football broadcaster telling me that a running back has stuck his foot into the ground and is now running downhill north and south. Enough is enough! However, if you want to wet your whistle this weekend, I do like Memphis as a road dog at Houston Sunday. Case Cookus is going to have a big, big game. Let's move to the big boys, the National Football League. New rule. As you know, they've been fooling around the kickoff rules the last few years. They're trying to make it safer. They want to. A lot of injuries happen from those high-speed collisions. So essentially, it's just become kicking into the end zone. Last year, 2% of kicks were returned. You could either kick it out of the end zone, or now players could fair catch it within the field of play, and then you just put it to whatever, the 25-yard line or whatever you do. So they are now going to go to an old XFL gimmick, in which it's interesting. It's going to look weird to you at first, and let me show you how it's going to work. The kicker is going to be by himself. The rest of the kick team is going to be down the field. Let's take a look at this. See what I'm talking about here? This is the kicker. That's midfield. The rest of his teammates will be right here at the 40-yard line of the opposition. Then the defense will be in what they call the setup zone. The kick return team will have 9 or 10 people here. We put 10 people here. And then they'll have a kick returner. They can have 2 kick returners and 9 people here. So they will be less than 10 yards from these people. Then the ball will be kicked off. Okay. When the ball is kicked off, nobody can move until the returner touches it or until it hits the ground. And then they can come towards each other. Now, what the NFL is hoping here, as you may see, is that each player and defender, the kick return team and the kick defending team, they come together and they kind of chat. It's more or less like a speed date where they all come together like that, as you see. They all come together like that. And they talk, they chat, they get to know each other. Maybe they touch each other some, but there's not going to be any high-speed collisions. There you see the kickoff goes down to the returner. That's called the landing zone, Now, what's going to happen here, what the NFL is hoping, because the kick return can be an exciting play, is that after the ball is kicked, you see everybody's engaged with each other. The ball is kicked, and the returner takes it, and nobody will be paying attention. The returner will go right through there. The kicker will be the only person who can possibly tackle him. He'll either tackle him or it'll be a 100-yard kickoff return. It'll be marvelous. That's the new kickoff return. You'll be seeing it come September. Let's turn to turtle races. Yes, you heard me. I said turtle races. Animal rights activists gathered at Brennan's Pub in Marina del Rey, California last week to protest the bar's turtle races. Let me repeat that. Animal rights activists gathered at Brennan's Pub in Marina del Rey, California last week to protest the bar's turtle races. So, we don't make this up. There have been turtle races, weekly turtle racing, at Brennan's since the 20th century. They let you bet on it. Of course they do. I mean, why are they going to be racing turtles unless people have action involved? This is America. Now, you are forbidden from booing the turtles. I like that rule. From pointing at the turtles or from touching the turtles. According to the LA Eater website, there's also a certified veterinary technician on site to oversee the care of the turtles. Anyway, let me quote an official from an organization called In Defense of Animals, part of the protest group last week, who said, quote, "Turtles are not toys," end quote. Folks, I'm with the Turtles are not toys coalition as well. Now I know many of you are saying, oh, they're just turtles. And I say they are live beings. We've gone through this many, many times in the past few weeks for those of you who have joined me here on Gambling Mad. And once again, let me be clear. There should be no cockfighting. There should be no greyhound racing. There should be no horse racing. There should be no sled dog racing. There should be no dog fighting. There should be no fishing tournaments. There should be no elephants in circuses. Let them live their lives the way they want to live their lives. We do that, okay? You think a dog in Alaska wakes up in the morning and goes, today I would like to mush over 100 miles of frozen trail. No, they don't. They just want to eat, sleep, and poop. Let's take a more intelligent view towards animals, my friends. They aren't entertainment for us. They are living, breathing beings. You all watch Yellowstone? Pretty good show. Well, Yellowstone actor Forey J. Smith says he was kicked off a flight after refusing to sit next to a passenger who was wearing a mask. He says he did not feel comfortable with the seating arrangement. I know I am spitting in the wind when I tell folks like Forey J. Smith, what does it matter to you if they are wearing a mask? Okay, what's the big deal? I'm going to wear a mask right now, okay? Oh my goodness, I'm offending humanity. Smith is anti-vaccine. He is anti-masking. Congratulations, okay? I am anti-blonde. But if a blonde guy or gal sits next to me, I don't get up. Anyway, Smith did not name the flight he was on. He did not name the airline he was on. He claims that the airline pretended to boot him from the flight because he was drunk. Now, he says that he had been drinking for several hours before the flight, but he was not drunk. But I think I'll take the over in this situation. Let maskers be. There's 1,000, doesn't even have to be 1,000 reasons why someone might be wearing a mask. It's their business, not yours. Whew. All right, time to get into Degen's Gonna Degen. My favorite segment. Degen's Gonna Degen, and I cannot tell you how busy we are this week. We have a lot of Degens to report on. Number one, June Shepherdson was a town judge in Moravia, New York for 22 years. The town court conducted an investigation about $6,000 that was missing from the court coffers. Shepherdson resigned after admitting that she had stolen the money to feed her gambling habit. According to casino.org, last week she was sentenced to 5 years probation for fourth-degree grand larceny. That's a Class E felony. And she must pay restitution. She's got to return the $6,000. Her lawyer says Shepherdson developed a gambling addict in recent years. She says she is now committed to bringing awareness and treatment resources about gambling addiction to those isolated in rural areas. Good on her. But this highlights what I've been talking about the last few weeks, what I keep telling you as far as this increased gambling in America. It's going to get worse before it gets better. It's not going to tumble the union, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. Here we have an example of a judge, an officer of the court, 22 years of service, stealing public money to gamble. And just think about everyone else out there, college kids, sports fans everywhere, people down on their luck in life. They will take a look at the lure of gambling winnings in front of them. Except almost everyone loses. Almost everyone loses. You should be able to gamble, but if you gamble, gamble responsibly. Most of you shouldn't even gamble. That's my message every single week. Degen are going to Degen number 2. Let me give you a great headline, okay? This is an actual headline from the Washington Post. Judge rules GOP official who claimed 2020 election was stolen voted illegally 9 times. Brian Pritchard, first vice chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, was ordered to pay a $5,000 fine. He was ineligible to vote in Georgia during a 7-year probationary sentence period from 2004 to 2011 because of felony check forgery charges. Yet he cast ballots in 4 Georgia primary and general elections in 2008 and 5 elections in 2010. Pritchard is currently a talk radio show host, and he says that it was the corrupt media that was complicit in stealing the 2020 election for Joe Biden. He says, I do not believe 81 million people voted for this guy. FYI, I personally know at least 17, maybe 18 people who voted for Biden, for what it's worth. Degen are going to Degen, story number 3. My main man, Donald Trump, he is now hawking Bibles door to door online. It's the God Bless the USA Bible. It includes copies of the Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and Pledge of Allegiance, all for just $59.99 plus shipping and tax. Trump, in his 3-minute sales video that he put on the Truth Social, called the Bible his favorite book. I call bullshit. Some of you, come on, Trump has never read the Bible. And as many of you may recall from one of those network interviews that he gave, I think it was in the Super Bowl pregame when he was president, He, at that point, said that his favorite book was the Bible. He was then asked what his favorite passage was. He could not recall any, but he said he had a lot of favorite passages. That there were a bunch of passages that spoke to him. Anyway, I got to say that the $60 Bible offends me a little more than Trump's $399 Never Surrender sneakers that he ordered earlier this year. Now, in fact, I would tell you to save that money, save the $399 and the $60. That's $459. Save that $459 so you can use it to get maybe a commemorative piece of the border wall he's going to build if and when he becomes president again, elected this November. Degens are going to degen. Story number 4. Whew. There was a French guy. He was 23 years old. He was visiting Norway. He got 23 speeding tickets in 19 days. 23 speeding tickets in 19 days. You do the math. That sounds like at least one speeding ticket a day. An Oslo court sentenced him to 24 days in prison. It was reduced to 21 days because, to his credit, he pleaded guilty. Plus, they relieved him of his driver's license. Now, the bright side of this whole story for our 23-year-old French guy, prison food in Norway is among the best in the world. It's tremendous. Don't ask how I know. Just know you don't have to ask. Our final Degen's going to Degen story. We got a bunch of little Degens on this one. Okay, 3 boys, 2 of them pre-teens, tried to rob a Wells Fargo bank in Houston, according to KTRK-TV. They've been dubbed the Little Rascals. They handed a threatening note to the bank teller. It didn't get much further than that. They are facing second-degree felony charges. The boys are aged 16, 12, and 11. Okay, 2 of the kids were brothers. Their parents identified and recognized them on surveillance video, and I guess they were told to go to their room that night without any dinner. Now, think about it. If they had been successful with that bank robbery, they could have taken their parents to Sizzler. I love that. All right, folks. I'm going to say this one time and one time only. We've got to stop taking food and making it into some other type of food and acting like this is food we want. KFC. They now say it's not pizza, it's chizza. It's pizza and chicken together. It's a chicken pizza. No. It should be one or the other. We don't take a Mercedes-Benz, attach a tool shed to it, and go, it's not a Mercedes-Benz, it's a Mercedes-Benz with a tool shed. Okay, what is wrong with us? We take spaghetti and we turn them into SpaghettiOs. We take a croissant and we make a croissantwich. We take pizza and now it's chizza. Enough. Just give me some Fritos. Hope you've enjoyed another edition of Gambling Mad. My name is Norman Chad. Gambling Mad brought to you as always by the fresh taste of Fritos and the refreshing taste of Fresca. Folks, remember, when you're gambling out there, chances are you are going to lose. We'll see you again soon.